did some absurd to black people in the circus.
Yeah.
When that lady was on the dart in this episode of It, they had her like spinning, and I was like, well, that's kind of absurd. No one would like ever do that to a human. But then I was like, you know what?
No, they would.
They did it to black people all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
they didn't show it in this episode, but black people were at exhibits at circuses.
Put them on display butt naked, like had them in a cage, like wild, insane stuff. Even in this day and age of social media, it can be very easy to avoid. You just got two realities of like people like, yeah, slavery was bad, and then like you talk to black people and like that was like the worst thing mankind has ever done.
And also we know older black people,
yes, who lived through it.
You can definitely find some older folks in the South who were sharecroppers as children.
The real jig is, why aren't y'all white grandparents telling y'all about what it was like? What were they up to? That's the real jig.
Crazy Stupid Podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time watching, we'd love it if you could hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell so that you are aware of when we post things.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Stupid Podcast. My name is Esther.
And I'm Adrian.
And today we're here to talk about It, Welcome to Derry, Season 1, Episode 3.
Yes. Listen, man, all I'm going to say, I know this is Stephen King, but you better not mess with those kids, bro. You're going to piss me off. Don't do it.
One in particular for me, sorry.
I like all of them. I'm sorry.
Oh, I like all of them.
That little Cuban boy be having me cracking up, boy.
I feel like he's the most likely to die, to be honest.
No, please don't say that.
The comic relief kid always has to go.
No, please.
That's what always happens. I would like for all of them to survive until the very end. And I feel like that's possible because in It, didn't they all survive?
Yeah, in the first one, yeah.
Yeah, but then the second one, they're adults, so. You know? So I feel like they could all make it. But let me tell you something. That little black kid.
The boy.
Yeah, don't mess with him.
He's so innocent. You know what he reminds me of? You know who he reminds me of, bro? Randall Pearson in
like Baby Randall.
Yes. Yep. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's just so precious.
That's my son, and he needs to be protected at all costs.
Yeah.
I will go to war for him. The only thing in this episode that I doubted the production was that cemetery scene.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is in fact broke. if people have not been paying attention, the CGI was noticeable. It felt very 2000s live action Scooby-Doo.
In a way, I was like, is this intentional, low-key?
Because it kind of works for me.
It's Stephen King, very campy, very kooky.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, but whatever. I can see how for some, I saw a few people online, it took them out of the scene.
Yeah.
Because there's other moments where the CGI looks so much better.
Yeah.
I can imagine they're probably using all of their money for Pennywise. Like the build up for him is very clear and intentional. This episode kind of reminded me why the first It just did so much better than the second one.
Yes, because you have to have the kids.
Yes, the kids, that is the bread and butter of the movie.
Yes. You have to have the kids. Listen, that second movie was such a hard watch for me, honestly, because I couldn't even keep track which adult version was which kid.
Oh, really?
I was in there like,
I was struggling. They really tried.
I was struggling the whole movie like, honey, which white child am I supposed to connect this white man to? I do not know who this is.
I get it. It's you know who kind of ran into that a little bit? Stranger Things.
Oh, I mean, listen, it's a good thing this is the last season.
Yeah, those are grown ass adults.
Millie Bobby Brown has a child.
Yeah, it married. And maybe it could just be like the quality of the second It film, but I feel like exploring the trauma mixed with the humor, because it's still centered on kids, it just felt a little bit more relatable, even though I was like a young adult when I watched it.
No, but I understand. It's everything about the films is kind of rooted in like this kind of nostalgia for a different time.
Yes.
That's what makes things like Stranger Things.
Right.
Like It.
Like if Stranger Things is in like 2025, it would be a little
It doesn't hit quite the same.
Nah.
It doesn't hit quite the same.
80s music kicks in and you're like, yeah.
It's like a whole vibe to it that just doesn't really translate as well when you try to take.
I don't know why the nostalgia kicks in. Neither one of us were alive in the 80s, but whatever.
But I was alive when the 80s culture was very dominant still. Like when we were still watching the classic 80s movies. And like, I still have like a sort of attachment. Like I went through a whole, the Brat Pack. I went through like a whole phase with them.
That's 90s for me.
Okay, so we start off at the circus, right off rip.
Holy shit.
Nothing good happens at an old-fashioned circus. Never. It's never good. Those places were bad vibes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the circus was able to rebrand, to be honest.
Honestly, like,
what they had going on back then was crazy.
Circuses in general are weird as hell, bro.
They're less weird now. You got like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, no, but I guess I just meant like your original.
No, the concept was really crazy, and also it doesn't feel child friendly to me at all.
Dude,
doesn't feel child friendly.
You know what I was thinking about? This might feel like a bit of a pivot, but like when that lady was on the dart in this episode of It, and they had her like spinning, and I was like, well, that's kind of absurd. No one would like ever do that to a human. But then I was like, you know what?
No, they would.
They did it to black people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, they did some absurd shit to black people in the circus.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't show it in this episode, but black people were at exhibits at circuses.
Not even just like minstrel stuff. Like, put them on display butt naked, like had them in a cage, like wild, insane stuff. You see it all the time. And I know I went through this because like even growing up, there were like important people that made it like intentional to reveal a lot of the things that like my K through 12 upbringing excluded.
Yeah.
Even in this day and age of social media, it can be very easy to avoid all of that history. If your algorithms don't show it, if you have no interest in it, if there's no one like willfully like pushing that stuff for you to learn it, to see it, you just got two realities of like people like, yeah, slavery was bad. And then like you talk to black people and are like, that was like the worst thing mankind has ever done.
And also, we know older black people.
Yes, who lived through
it. You can definitely find some older folks in the South who were sharecroppers as children. I do know people who have their grandparents were like, yeah, when I was growing up, we knew people who were formerly enslaved.
Yes, my old teacher, Mr. Duncan, he grew up in Atlanta, so they grew up in Jim Crow, but his grandmother was a sharecropper, and he would tell us about that. The real jig is, why aren't y'all white grandparents telling y'all about what it was like? What were they up to? That's the real jig. I remember there's this viral picture that was going around with Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
They walk amongst us, man. That's wild. They really walk amongst us.
Remember what we said last week about apartheid and all of them? Someone in our comment section said that shit, where they said, I can't wait for people to pretend like they didn't support Trump in like 30, 40 years from now.
Well, see, now that stuff doesn't fly because we have online footprint. We kind of did talk about this a little bit, but something that I feel like this episode touched on well is kind of what we were just talking about, like how black people often have a more rich understanding of history because we have access to like firsthand accounts of things that happened. And I feel like there's this lack of respect for that type of knowledge, for like gaining knowledge in that way and trusting the accounts of like, it's honestly like almost like ancestral knowledge. Like, I don't really know how else to put it. But I feel like that came up a little bit in this episode too. It's like you have this indigenous group of people that have been in Derry longer than anybody else has been there. Obviously, they are a reliable source of information. Like, obviously, like to me, like you're the military looking for some sort of power, whatever, that has like been in Derry since forever ago. This should be the first group of people y'all ask questions to. Like, even if, and I understand that that specific character, Francis was his name, I can't remember. I know like he doesn't remember everything about their summer.
Derry.
Right. But just even without any personal knowledge, it's so crazy to me that they would not be considered like a primary source of information on something like this. It's like sure, it's not something that's like written in explicitly in history books, and it's not something that you have like all this data and information on, but like the stories that are passed down generationally from people who have been there and seen things should be included as our historical reference. Like that should hold a lot of weight.
It also said, I think this also showed you like who is sort of on the front lines a little bit also, because obviously the indigenous people know like, hey, this thing is going on, but they're also trying to tell them that like where you guys are expanding your facility might disrupt some other things, right? They're talking about like how it'll impact their ancestry, but also the indigenous woman's like, bro, pack up your stuff and just leave Derry. Like, this is not something that you want to mess with, that you want to uncover. But also the black soldier, he is by all accounts the most prominent person because he is having the most interaction with Pennywise. And even though you're getting another firsthand account from this black soldier that's like, I think we need to just leave this alone, it wasn't enough. And my worry is that as this season will go on, it'll be the black and brown people that will be harmed the most. And we're already seeing it. The father gets locked up. Mm-hmm. The pilot has like weird stuff going on with the soldiers. Like it's sort of resolved, but even that was still kind of strange what they did there, like testing him and like trying to see his resolve.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about this last week, but there is something wildly dehumanizing about being like, you're a man without fear. Okay, let's put you in the most dangerous position we possibly can.
And just frame it as like some kind of exam. That's weird, bro.
Well, that is an exam, but also what they are planning to utilize him for is literally to send him to. I'm like, so death. So you're sending him to his death.
I also think they are underestimating what Pennywise can pull out of a person. That these guys are like, he will feel nothing in the face of death. I don't know. I feel like Pennywise can find something, bro. His son, his wife, something.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they do that because, like, I mean, supposedly biologically he can't feel fear anymore because that part of his brain is just gone. So I'm really interested to see how that scene goes when he eventually does face him. Yeah. But it's just such a terrible thing, and the racial dynamics of it just don't help. To be like, we're plucking this black man out of wherever he was, hauling his whole family over here. Yeah. So that we can use him as a tool. And I understand that it's the military. And I mean, to be in the military is to kind of at some level accept that sort of dehumanization, to be honest. It just still doesn't feel good.
There's also the other side to it that we're seeing with the dynamics of him and his wife.
Yeah. Whatever agreement they had when they came here, that's not lasting. Yeah. And also, I am really curious to know, they keep referencing some sort of some incident from where they lived before. I really want to know what that was.
It's something racial.
Yeah, I'm really interested with her character. I really want to see what they do with her story arc because she just seems like, I don't know, I like her.
It's so interesting because you think that like when people talk about like racial integration, sometimes it can sort of be framed as like black people just like, we want to be kumbaya with white people. And it's like, no, there is a class and an economic portion to it that sort of gets left out in the decision making, right? Like Ruby Bridges, she it wasn't like they just loved white people. It was because of the quality in the school. But like in this incident, it's like, what is for the wife, what is the benefit in moving into this integrated town? Because she's not getting the opportunities to pursue and excel in her career.
So much of what happens with the children is that they know that they will not be believed And so they endanger themselves to solve things themselves. A big theme of this entire story is this loss of innocence. And I feel like as adults, we do not always acknowledge how much we not devalue children, although I think we do that also, but we don't take them seriously. And so, and kids know that. They're aware that like their words just do not hold as much weight, and that they can be easily brushed off. They can be easily kind of like swept aside, you know, as like, that's just kid stuff, whatever. And that often does lead to children being endangered, because when they don't think that they're going to be listened to or believed, then they will not seek out the protection and safety of adults who should be able to protect them from the things that are happening to them.
Yeah.
Like this entire story is like, these are 12-year-old kids, but they know there is no way that I am going to be taken seriously if I say this to somebody else. And so they're just continuously harmed over and over and over again. And it's tragic. And what's also sad is that it's doubled with like, it's not just the supernatural things that they're experiencing that lend to that. They've also all had real life experiences. Like what we saw with Lily in the scene in the grocery store. That entire thing with her dad to me revealed, oh, there was something terrible happening between them. And obviously the people in her life do not know that. And so doubled on top of the grief that she experiences from losing her father, there's also all this complication from whatever abuse she endured from him that clearly she did not go to anybody with.
Yeah.
Same thing with the original kid at the movie theater. His family was abusing him, right? Like there's all of these ways that all of these kids, even prior to having these experiences, have been put in danger. But because they don't feel that they can tell the adults in their lives, because they don't feel taken seriously by them, there was nobody there to protect them. And then that gives Pennywise the fuel that he needs to keep this cycle going.
Yeah. Well, we've got 2 comments. Thoughts that we thought were like really good. So again, we really appreciate you guys. We're going to try to continue this to kind of keep these conversations going. This is from Kikate6293 again. I hope I'm pronouncing your username correctly. But they said Stephen King got inspiration from what he saw all around him, especially while he was in college. He was born in Maine, hence why everything is in Maine. And his father left him when he was a toddler. So lots of the storylines about bad dads or absent fathers is in a lot of his books. So that kind of tracks. There's a lot there. It reminded me a little bit. Remember in Lost, there were so many characters that had like father issues, sort of reminiscent to probably what some things that Damon Lindelof was probably going through as well. Second one is from Darth Ninja 65. I hope that you are a Star Wars fan. One thing about the Black characters that I find pretty interesting is that they seem to be tackling the different types of ways of mentality that Black people have when they're in cesspools of racist or racism, such as the military characters thinking they have to better a status simply for being in the military or seeing combat, or they want to keep their heads down and not really have any interactions, but are still faced with microaggressions and full of racism regardless, or just a straight up nihilistic view of the world. Even the Black mother, Charlotte, gets subtle misogynistic aggressions from her husband. And that's true. And Leroy seems to have a history of trying to push more masculine activities on his son, who's a very smart kid, but is annoyed when he keeps reading books. That's also very true. I know we actually didn't talk about that in...
No, their family dynamic is off.
Yes.
It's off.
And then the Jewish father is pretty much stating the whole point. Reality is terrifying enough as it is. I'm actually so frustrated that I forgot about that line, because I think that is the point that they're trying to drive in this season. Outside of what these people are experiencing in Derry, the racism is still a horrifying experience all the time. I feel like they do it in such subtle ways. They don't linger on the microaggressions, like the looks from the neighbors. But it's happened at least twice in every episode so far.
Yeah, it's just always, it's just an ever-present reality.
It's actually quite, bro, I can't even tell you how many times, like I'm in my car and you just see some old white lady Just staring, bro. It's so irritating. Or some other person like clutches their purse and walks the other side. It's like, all right. I can only smile so much to let you know I'm not threatening. Like you can't. It's yes. But dealing with that all the time, yeah, it definitely takes a toll. But yeah, they bring up a good point. That's really good.
The family dynamic between Leroy, Charlotte, and Will is it's not off because it's probably pretty typical.
Yeah.
But it does remind me of I feel like a dynamic that we don't often talk about when we talk about this era. We often talk about the relationship that white women had with their husbands during the 50s, 60s, that whole time period. Like we talk about like the bored housewives. We talk about all of that, and rightfully so. We should talk about it. But I don't think we talk enough about the dynamic that Black women had, because Black women understood. I think Black women understood. I think like the I don't want to say larger threat, but maybe like the more present threat to them was whiteness and everything that was happening from the outside that was at a front and an attack, not just on them personally, but on their families, on their loved ones. And so there was always like that present danger. And so that made them, I think, even more restricted in how they could move in their relationships within the home, because they understood that there was no safety net for them outside of it.
Yeah.
And so when you look at somebody like Charlotte, I'm not like Leroy, I don't think is a danger to her in any like physical way. He's not somebody who's going to harm her, but the way that he is moving is having a negative impact on her life.
Yeah.
But she understands like this family unit and this man is safer for me than whatever threats to my safety exist outside of it. And so it just puts you in this really strange predicament wherein like, yes, like this Black man is a source of protection, like physical protection and safety. And also that power dynamic still exists.
Yeah. Even when you watch movies or TV shows that sort of reflect that time period where they're depicting Black people in that era, I understand like the need to sort of present them in such a positive light, but it almost silenced the voices of like the Black women.
Yeah, because Black men are not immune to misogyny, and even the civil rights movement itself received criticism from Black women at the time as being misogynistic, as being excluding the voices and experiences of Black women.
Yeah,
I do think one group of people who really, really does tackle this a lot in their work are Black women authors. Like if you're reading Toni Morrison, if you're reading Alice Walker, like if you're reading them, they do talk about this a lot.
Ava DuVernay handles it well too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is, I think, a dynamic that isn't necessarily talked about enough. So I am very excited for Charlotte's arc in this season.
Yeah. Well, those are our thoughts. We would love to hear what you guys think about episode 3 of It Welcome to Derry. Let us know in the comment sections below. As always, we are just very grateful for the conversations you guys continue to bring. And with that, we will see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Peace.